As you've seen through as we move through these lessons in this course, it gets a bit redundant. It's the same information in different areas of the neck, same protocol applies. So what I've done, instead of going through and playing the modes over the remaining two forms, you're going to have the diagrams, and you know how to approach this. So I'm just going to explain this very quickly. In diagrams 52 through 55, we have the Dorian, Aeolian, Phrygian, and melodic minor scales over your A minor form. Okay, so that means if you're going to play over an A minor jam track, you're up here or you're down here. So that's why it's beneficial to play it in some different keys. If you play it in D minor, it's going to help you when you have to go to the left of the chord. Down here, you can't get any farther than open strings. Up here, you can. So when you need that 6 or that flat 6, it's going to be available to you where it wouldn't be in an open position. Okay? So then each of those should be played. Same approach, all the different concepts, building chords, pedal tones, different fingerings, calling out the scale degrees, mixing the modes, and then linking it with your previous area. And then in diagrams 56 through 59, you have, again, the four modes, Dorian, Aeolian, Phrygian, and melodic minor over your G minor form. If we played that in A minor, that's that wicked chord that can be simplified into something like that where you don't have that flat 3. Now, that's a chord that up in the higher position is okay, but it can be really an intonation challenge because it's so contorted that you're probably better off leaving out that flat 3, but do whatever you have to do. So all those scales reside right on top of that chord. So I think that you see where we've been headed with this information is to give you mastery of the entire fingerboard using all 5 forms of the CAGED system. You see your arpeggio. First you see your chord form, then you see the arpeggio, which comes out of the chord form, or lays on top of it, I should say, the other way around. You see the chord coming out of the arpeggio form. And you link those two together. Make sure you're rock solid, that you can play the arpeggios, the notes in red, that you can play those very, very well with no confusion, and that you know what you're playing. Because let's face it, if you know where the roots, the flat thirds, and the fifths are, you are 3/7 of the way home. Remember that you are then just adding either a 2 or a flat 2. You're adding a 4, you're adding a 6 or a flat 6, you're adding a 7 or a flat 7, right? So it's really important that you see these framework arpeggios. Then it's easy for you if you memorize how the scales are built, you know what scale degrees you're doing, where the intervals occur, you know the half steps, we talked about that. It'll get a lot easier. But then force yourself to perhaps plot out in some long diagrams, meaning 12 or longer fret diagrams, the information on a couple of strings. And do all 4 modes and have them side by side, play over the jam tracks, and force yourself to play it along the length of the string, along the string axis. Because you know as well as I do that you can get into some ruts with fingerings when you just stay in one position. And finally, make sure that you are building chords beyond the scope of what you may be requested to play on your gig. You want to grow here. You want to prepare your ears to be able to hear these exotic harmonies and voicings that are unconventional. It'll help your ears, and even though you may not like it right now, think of part of your practice as just stretching and working out, stretching your brain, stretching your fingers literally, stretching your ears. And the more you do this, the more information you're going to have right at your fingertips, and the easier you'll be able to improvise with absolute freedom.